Good evening, folks. Welcome to AR Gun Show. And basically, I am filling in for AR. He's a little under the weather, but is going to be all right. Plus, he's tied up with doing a bunch of lovely Corvette part ordering. So he's been taking care of his vet. So we can't wait to see pictures of that. Um, we're joined tonight by gun websites. G's a good friend of mine, and we go back for, gosh, 10 years probably almost. And so I said, hey, we will have him on and we will see what he's got going on and just entertain each other on the show and talk about some firearms, some reloading, and some odds and ends that go along with it and what he's got going on and what I got going on. So off with that, what's going on, G? What have you been doing, brother?
Hey, thanks for the invite. I'm just working on stuff. I do the podcast every night, so keeping up with that, and then juggling all the other stuff that happens on the regular, and then I guess all the stuff that comes up along the way, just like everybody.
Huh.
At what age do you figure out that there's certain things you can just juggle, and then you start getting used to taking the gut punches along with it? What age do you think that is? 30, 40?
I think it starts at your late 20s, but just gets more redundant the older you get.
That's what I was going to say. Exactly. Is that you figure it out after a while? You figure out, well, basically, you just got to juggle all this stuff and take gun punches while it's happening, and then that's pretty much the routine. And then you get really good at it, and after a while, you don't take the gun punches so much. Then you get offended when you actually get a gun punch because you're so used to dodging them or whatever. Or you get used to juggling. Something happens. So I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I guess we're at that level, right, where it's just doing the same old, but at the same time trying to keep fancy and keep doing it good.
Yeah. Now I noticed you've been doing auctions on your channel, and I've caught quite a few of them, and it's pretty neat idea. Going over the firearms auctions. Tell us about that a little bit.
Right. So you're talking about in Phoenix.
Yeah.
So the Pot of Gold up there has a firearms auction every Tuesday. I don't know. I guess it's a system that a lot of different shops, a lot of auctioneers attach to, and then they all have their portal, right? Their website with their business location. This one's in Phoenix area. And then you take your stuff up there and drop it off. They take pictures of it. They put it on the auction. And then every Tuesday, there's an auction. Some of them are focused on coins and jewelry and things, and then other ones are focused on guns and collectibles and other stuff. They do a lot of pinball games and jukeboxes and big stuff from like collectors in California and stuff because they're kind of on the edge of Phoenix over by California. So I think they got a lot of access to California. Anyway, so they do a bunch of these auctions. So I started putting some of my stuff up there. Yeah. So I've been going on. Plus, it's kind of fun. These auctions happen in real time. I don't know how to call it. Like eBay, when an auction ends, it ends, right? It's going to end at 2:00. So it ends. And then the last bid before 2:00 is the last bid. I think that's how it works on eBay.
Right.
On some of them, I don't know how Gunbroker works. It's been a while since I've been on Gunbroker. But on this one, if it ends at 2:00, but then at 5 minutes to 2 or whatever it is, 30 seconds to 2:00, somebody bids again, depending on the size of the bid. If it's like a $5 bid, it'll give it another minute. If it's like a $50 bid, I think it gives it another 5 minutes. So it gives people an opportunity to think about it and bid again, which makes it kind of fun because something is supposed to end at 2:00, but then if a bunch of people are bidding on it, it just goes to 2:05 and then 2:11 and then 2:13 and then 2:15, right? So it keeps going and it keeps getting bid on. So it's fun to watch. There's no auctioneer, nothing is just happening.
Right.
But a lot of them, they're all happening concurrently. Is that the word? Like all at the same time. So some of them are just going on through and not getting bids or only getting a couple of bids, and others are it's kind of like a bunch of stuff getting stuck in a stream. Some of them get stuck there and keep getting bid for a while. So it can be pretty exciting watching 2 or 3 things just get bid up and up and up. So anyway, so yeah, I've been talking about that and getting up. I was talking about going up there. I think that's what we were talking about off air. I'm planning on going up there and kind of sneak peeking a bunch of the stuff that's not even mine, just the stuff that's interesting because they have such cool stuff up there. And they said I could run around and take pictures and take video. You know, it just helps everybody. So
Right.
getting ready to go up there and take some videos and stuff.
Oh, that ought to be pretty interesting. They get you come across a little bit of everything up there, I would guess.
Oh yeah, it seems like it. It's kind of like going into like a fancy pawn shop, except that you can't walk around and look at stuff normally. It's just all there, you know, waiting to be auctioned or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so you can see it all online now, I guess. Can I drive up there? I'm not buying anything. I'm selling stuff. So I'm driving up there to drop stuff off. But I guess, yeah, you could probably just drive up there. I'm sure that when people are buying like a pinball game or something, like some, those are pretty heavy, right? Like in, what are those things called? The slot machine at a casino? Those
Yeah.
things are super heavy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that people pick those up and don't have them shipped. On the other hand, I'm sure at some of these auctions, they just send them right over to a shipping place and they know what they're doing. They put it in a box and they charge you appropriate money and it's at your house in a couple of days, right?
Yeah. And
I
if
think,
it's a big enough item like a pinball machine or something like that, that's got to be put in a trailer and strapped in, or made into a container box for it, out of plywood and 2x4s. That can get expensive. You can then get the people to bring that to you. But yeah, no matter what you need shipped, there's somebody out there that'll do it for you.
for a while here, there's the base, right? Davis Martin is here and in Tucson, and they had the liquidation auctions for a long time until all this craziness. They shut down that. I don't know what they do with their stuff now. But whenever somebody bought something large from there was like two or three places in town that made their living off of just, you know, somebody would buy something huge, like you're saying, like a pallet of something or just something giant, some chunk of an airplane or something. And then the Air Force would just say, come over and get it. And that place would come over and get it, like you're saying, strap it all down, put it in the thing, and then charge some kind of fee. Made a living just doing that.
Oh
But yeah,
yeah,
those auction places, when you're buying something at pennies on the dollar, what do you care if it costs a couple of bucks to ship it to you?
yeah. Especially if you're getting a deal on it, like you would be if you're buying something usually from like an Air Force or a Navy or a boneyard auction like that. You're
Yeah, I'm sure it
usually
was
getting
nothing.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's exciting because that gets you can get a little bit of anything. You could come across a World War II Corsair propeller. I knew a guy that had one in his garage, and I couldn't believe how big they were. I was like, man, this is on a fighter plane. I was like, this thing looks huge. And the guy's like, yeah, this is what gave these aircraft the speed that they had, was the big radial engines and the huge propellers that had a four-bladed propeller on them, and they were extremely long. The landing gear on that aircraft were long, so that that propeller would clear the carrier deck, and it was it was a gigantic propeller, but he had one in his garage. And when I went over there one time, I was like, "What are you doing? What is this? Like a bomber propeller?" And he's like, "No, it's a Corsair propeller fighter for off the." I can't remember what aircraft carrier it was off, but it was off of one of the famous aircraft carriers, and it was even signed what fighter group and everything it was from, and it was pretty neat. I forget how he said he got it. I think he bought, but maybe bought it in an auction.
Hmm, that'd be pretty cool. You never think about that, but yeah, on an aircraft carrier, they probably got, I don't know, dozens of propellers, maybe hundreds
Yeah,
of propellers, right? Because what the
yeah,
heck, they break all the dang time. Never even thought about that. But yeah, you after the war, you probably get propellers for nothing. Like, what are you going to do with
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Put it
I
on a
know.
windmill or
Yeah,
something?
if it's wore out, because
Well, I'm
it's got
talking
the
brand new
hours.
ones that
Oh
never
yeah, they
even. I
probably
bet
had
the
brand
wore
new
out. I
ones
bet you the
too.
wore out ones they just throw over the side of the aircraft carrier. I bet you they
Yeah,
never
that is
back in the
probably
gas
true. Yeah,
because they're the Navy. You know what I'm saying? They don't care.
yeah,
It's cheaper to not carry it around in gas than it is to worry about it. Probably.
right. But yeah, I bet they do a lot of that over the side of the.
Oh heck yeah,
Uh,
especially back in the day. Definitely in World War II. Everybody was sick of all that stuff anyway, from what I understand. They were more than happy to throw all that stuff over the side and come home and start smooching their girlfriends and whatever, turning into
yeah.
family.
He's like, just put it over the side. Oh, okay, that's the easiest thing I've heard all day.
So
Because if not, you would package that up with some type of protective padding. Because you would have to do that. Nobody's going to tell you, oh, just throw those into a room. Somebody's going to be anal about it. In the military, and they're going to be like, you need to wrap this up with cardboard boxing, tape it, and then store it down somewhere for later so they can rebuild them or something like that. And you're going to be like one of those jobs that you just hate doing because the thing takes like 6 people to move.
So Bullet Chunky was saying about driving up and back. I used to drive up and back a lot more when I was younger. I used to like it more, but I've lived out here for a while, and I can remember driving back and forth between Tucson and Phoenix, where that's about an hour and a half drive if there's not a lot of traffic or something doesn't happen. It's one road, right? I don't know if you've ever driven on it. So it's if there's a big accident, you're just waiting. There's not anywhere you're gonna go drive the other way or anything. Like there's one other way, but you can't just drive to it. So it's one of those kind of roads. So you figure it's an hour and a half ish, but if there's traffic, it's more like 2 hours to get up to Phoenix and then roll a dice. Phoenix is always crazy. It could either be easy to get across or it takes all day to get across. But so I just remember the old days. So recreationally driving up to Phoenix to have fun, it doesn't seem as much fun as it was back in the day. It is fun to drive up and just see the changes, of course, along the highway and stuff, like how
Oh
different
yeah.
the new stuff gets put up. Because I don't drive up there all that often.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like if you do it every 5, 6 years, or maybe even every 8 years, things change. I mean, the highways can change. I mean, some of the stuff that I've seen in the 10 years I've been here at St. Pete, and then I went back to Orlando here recently because I was going to move to Orlando, and I went back and I could hardly even recognize it. The interstate is now 3 levels in certain areas, and I was just like, holy crap, that didn't
What do you
even
mean three
exist.
levels? Like a three stacked on top of each other?
Yeah,
The hell? How many people are
yeah,
there? It's like
hell,
the
hell yeah.
future or something. I've seen that in San Antonio, I think. That's the only place I've seen that. But it was only
No, I've
two.
seen. Yeah, well, this is yeah. Well, you got your ground level, and then you've got your second overpass, and then you got one over that circles back around. That's like one of those off ramp turn things that go over and pass over in down right below, right after downtown Orlando, right before you get to Winter Park.
Mm.
You start seeing these crazy things and all these brand new ramps and all this construction where they're building buildings like right not too far from the interstate. You're like, wow.
There was a thing kind of like that where you got your ground, you got your overpass, and then that third one, like you're saying, in the middle of nowhere in Phoenix. Like if you left Phoenix and were going to California, you'd have seen it. And it was there for, I don't know, for a long, long, long time. And the way we would cut around Phoenix to go to SHOT Show, we kind of
Mm-hmm.
go near there so we'd see it. And then it was just there, right? And it was one of those crazy things like in a movie. Like if you didn't pay attention to the little, what do you call them, like signs that say to stop, you'd have just fallen right over the edge because there was nothing there to stop you from driving right over the edge to nothing. But
Right.
now that's all completed now. So now it's even hard to remember picturing it just being that weird, overpass to nowhere, overpass to gravity. But for many years, it was just like crazy. It would have been neat to have like a remote control plane or throw paper airplane off of there, like go up there and then throw paper airplane. But it would have been super scary to climb up there and then not have the rest of the overpass there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. That would be
It
freaky.
freaked me out.
Yeah. Just the feeling of uneasiness.
I bet you it
But
swayed back and forth too without being
oh,
completed, like half a curly
yeah.
too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guarantee it moved in the wind. I guarantee you. And they never finished it. They eventually tear it down.
Oh no, in Phoenix they put it up. It sounds like he's talking about one that they've been pulling down from an earthquake. But
Oh, okay.
the one in Phoenix, they were just building it and never got around to it because the city hadn't sprawled out that far. So Phoenix
Ah,
is like a I-10, right? Goes from Florida to California. So
mhm.
when it comes through Arizona, it makes sort of a like a backwards S. It goes like into Arizona, goes up from Tucson to Phoenix, and then goes across to California, right? So it makes this like backwards S shape, or is that a
Right.
no? It's a backwards S. So there's another highway that goes from Mexico up to, let's say, Utah, right, going straight up and down Arizona. So when it intersects with all that, that's where we're talking about, or at least that's where Phoenix is, where that intersection is. So then you make that across, right? The run that goes up and down, and the one that goes off to the west. Uh, you draw like a bullseye around there, and that's the loops. So there's these two loops around Phoenix, and as they were building that second loop around Phoenix, it was just around nothing. It was just in the desert for years because Phoenix hadn't got that big yet, but they were ready for it. And then now it's grown out past that loop, and they probably could have built a fourth loop or third loop or whatever that would be if they were
Oh,
really paying attention. But there's kind of mountains in the way and stuff.
very interesting.
Phoenix is
So,
massive sprawl. I don't know what Florida's probably the same way, but Phoenix, it's like cheaper to go out than up, I guess.
yeah. Yeah, it's always cheaper to expand outward if you can, and then when you start making things multi-level, it starts costing a fortune because then you got all that structural engineering involved, where pretty much anybody can build single-level housing or build commercial buildings. When you start getting multi-floor levels and stuff like that, and that's when you have to start getting concrete tested and or have a steel buildings, and you have to have your joints tested, and all that comes under load bearing for the engineers for that kind of structure and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So what's been going on with the ammunition collection lately?
That's a good question. Were we talking about this, or are you just asking that question? Because I
I'm
did
just
get,
asking that question out of the blue because I know
because
you collect ammunition, so I'm.
so I go to my school auction. If you live anywhere near a school, contact them and find out where they get rid of their stuff, their auction or their whatever their surplus stuff. Sometimes they'll call it, because
Right.
schools are crazy. They're crazy. So I go over to the school auction, and here it's more like just a place you go to, and whatever's there is there. It's kind of like a weird swap meet that everything's free, kind of, except that it's from the school. So sometimes it'll be from the lost and found. This one time I went there, and okay, one time I went there and they just bought too much red and blue paint because it's U of A, white, red, and blue, right? So the color red and blue. They just bought too much paint. So 5 gallon things of paint, $5. 5 gallons of paint that you'd use on a school. So it's quality paint, right? For the stadiums and stuff, like decent paint that the school would buy, $5 for a gallon or for 5 gallons. So
When it probably
I go,
costs the school $30 a gallon.
oh yeah, 70 something
Yeah.
for 5 gallons, 5 gallon bucket, it cost a ton.
Yeah.
So and it's blue, right? Like that's probably super expensive to make a blue color. Tan or something's pretty easy, but anyway. And then one time I go in there and they have a bunch of DeWalt stuff because they bought too much DeWalt stuff, and they had already outfitted everybody. They said so. It was just all these brand new DeWalt tools. That stuff was more like 40% of whatever, so it wasn't quite free. But yeah, 40% of whatever it would cost you in the store, and it was still had tags on it, brand new. They just literally bought too much of it and didn't just decided not to return it, I guess. So they're crazy. And I go over there, and most of the stuff though is old, like whatever you name old thing, and some kid has a budget and they want the new thing, right? So old desk, old slide projector, old cabinet, old refrigerator, old anything that is old and they replace it goes through the surplus. So I got all these shelves, these metal shelves come through, or I go in there and these metal shelves, they're not quite map shelves, like the map shelves would be in a lab or something, but basically they're these. shelves that you'd make. It's the material you'd make file cabinets out of. That heavy metal, folded sheet metal that you make file cabinet, like real old-fashioned metal sheet, gray metal uh, file cabinets out of. Except that it's these shelves that are about as high as an index card, so not quite as big as a pizza box, but you could put like 2, 3 medium-sized pizza boxes into each shelf, maybe that tall, and then would I get 3 of those things that are kind of cubes? So anyway, it turns out to be like 20 shelves, and it's about as tall as a refrigerator, but these super strong metal shelves. So I'm like, all right, this is the ideal place to have my ammo collection now. So now I can, sort it into all these shelves. And so anyway, yeah, I just spent a little while going through and taking it out, ammo cans and stuff, and putting it onto these shelves so I could actually look at it and get ready to do some videos or something. But yeah, so I've definitely been having the ammo collection in my head lately.
So, how many pieces of ammo have you collected over the last 20 years? What do you think your numbers are at?
I don't know if you could do that. I mean, I don't keep track of that. I have like multiple collections, I guess. So if you had to
Right.
put it, like if it was a bunch of like what do they call them things, cigar boxes,
Hmm.
it'd be like a bunch of those cigar boxes, maybe 50 cigar boxes you might use for moving. No, I don't know. A bunch of cigar boxes. So I have like a collection of stuff that when I was working, you ever volunteered at a public range?
Yeah.
Right? So I did that for a long time so I could shoot for free when I was shooting a lot. And
Yeah.
then you can go through the bucket of stuff like duds and stuff, like somebody will just have a weird bullet and stick it in this bucket. And then in Tucson, at least, they take the police. I don't know if they take them to the police or the police come and take them. Somehow they got to the police and they'll burn them. Like they have some incinerator for burning that stuff. And so they don't care if I pull stuff out of there. So I would pull stuff out of there, and I just happen to have a whole bunch of weird stuff just from years of taking the weird thing out of there. So that's how it started, just having that. And then going to enough classes and things, you look down at ranges. Like if I was at a police range and look down, you're going to find simunitions and, um, well, there's like 3 or 4 brands of simunition, all the different things, all kinds of weird blanks. You'll find all kinds of different stuff when you just start looking down. And then collecting the AK ammo. That was the whole thing. So you look down at a range and you start seeing all that different AK ammo. You'd be surprised how many people are like, "Oh, I don't care. I'm just going to shoot, Chinese ammo from 1963." Like, think about that ammo since before that be before the Vietnam War or like the beginnings of it, and they're going to just shoot that kind of ammo. I consider that a historic thing. Like, I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to shoot that ammo, but some people don't know or care about that. They don't look at the bottom of it. So you can go to the range and find ammo that's crazy old, from China or whatever, or just from weird places that you would never expect because, think about it. There's so many different stories of ammunition. So anyway, I can't even think, man. I've got multiple collections, and then I got tiny bullet collections, right? So little tiny bullets, those are fun to collect because they're small and they're cheap, and there's so many
Oh
of them.
yeah.
So that collection started up, and then I would go to different gun shows. And if I'm walking around a gun show, I'm cheap, so I'm looking around for what's cheap, right? I'm like the you've talked about it when you've had conversations with people about what kind of guns they buy. Like I buy what's cheap in front of me. Like if I see it and I know it's super cheap, then maybe I like it, maybe I don't. But if it's super cheap, then maybe I'll like it and I'll find out. But if I don't like it, I'm going to make money on it because it was super cheap. So a couple of times I bought some ammo collections that were kind of a gamble, right? Like, oh, here's a bunch of stuff, but it's $5. How could it possibly go wrong, right? So I've had things like that. The ammo collection grows by just buying mystery lots, I guess. Is that the way to say it? You know,
Yeah.
here's a whole box for $5. Well, okay, I'm buying the box then. I'm not even going to look in there. So
Yeah.
what I did is I did that too many times. So I've got at least 3 circumstances where I opened up a box and I was like, oh man, I don't think I've ever opened this box before. Like it was literally like Christmas. Like, I knew I had bought it at a gun show and I kind of vaguely remember bringing it home and shoving it into a ammo can. But then I was able to pull it all out and look at it or whatever. And so I'm going to make some videos of digging into that stuff. But so I have no idea, man. It's just, I mean, it wouldn't be, but probably if I put it all, if I just all dumped it into ammo cans, it wouldn't be but a couple of ammo cans, right? It's just that I know what they are and I've sorted them out. So if I've got, all the 45s, specimens of 45s that I've got, there might be 30 of them or something, right? But what would that be, a handful? But that's 30 different types of 45 ACP from like military stuff from back in the day. What was it? Was it just 1 year? I forget the deal, but there was steel case 45 ACP from World War II, right? When they put
Yeah.
them in. So I've got some of that. And I know maybe it's that there's steel case and there's 4 years of it. So anyway, there's stuff like that I know I grabbed it because it was interesting, or if I'm at the range and somebody's shooting something and I'll be going like, oh, that's interesting. What's up with that? Can I have one of those rounds and the empty box? They'd be like, yeah, I don't care. Here's, take the last round and here's an empty box. And then I grab 2 or 3 empty cases, and then that goes in the ammo collection. So I did that for so long. And then the problem is I would just throw it in the cabinet or I'd throw it in the ammo box. So now I've got that shelf thing I was just describing. So I spent some time kind of pulling it out and shoving it all in there. So that's going to be, it's hard to, what's the word, like take the time to do it because it seems kind of like a guilty pleasure. But if I could turn it into videos, maybe it's worth the time to sort through it or something.
Oh yeah, that'd be neat. Just checking out all the different bullets and years of things that you have.
I've done it
Because
in the past because it's actually pretty quick too. Because if you're doing it live, then people can help you research. Right? You have a bunch
yeah,
of people that are interested. So I might turn it into a series. We'll see.
yeah, that might be something really good to do and have a lot of people participate in with that. I see Gizzard Gary's out in the chat. Andy
Bullet
looks like he
Junkies
went to
asking
bed.
about, Bullet Junkies asking about the auctions. They're in, is it Avondale? It's out east of Phoenix, no, west of Phoenix, going towards California. Pot of Gold auctions. I'll put a link in here. I think I can put a link in here. But Pot of Gold auctions, and then they're pretty much every Tuesday. And then their big gun one is the first. I guess it's usually like it's the weekend after SAR show. So whatever the Tuesday after SAR show is usually the first Tuesday in December. That'll be their giant military gun auction where all the milsurps. That's probably where I'm going to try to put my Remington made Mosin in. Try to get the most money for it.
You have a Remington made Mosin Nagant?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Was that made for training?
I don't remember the story. I'm sure somebody else knows the story, but no, it was made because of somebody in Russia couldn't make them fast enough or needed them, and Remington. It's Remington, right? It's either Remington or Winchester. I'm pretty sure it was Remington. Was like, oh yeah, we'll make those for you on contract, and then made them. And then whoever the Russian was like, yeah, what if I paid you next Thursday? And they're like, well, doink, we'll just keep them. I think that's how it went.
Oh, okay.
Something like that, but I'm not sure.
That
But yeah,
that's
they're fairly
crazy.
rare. And then I think there's a deal where somebody, I don't know. I know there's pieces of it or there's stories about rechambering them and stuff like that to make them in a 30-06 because, 54R is kind of pointless over here.
Yeah.
But you can't really rechamber, more than anybody. You can't rechamber 54R in a 30-06. I mean, you could, but it ain't going to be good or work.
Yeah, it's not gonna. It's functionable, but it's not gonna perform with any type of accuracy. That the problem is the Mosin Nagant uses a bigger diameter bullet than the typical 30 caliber. Typical 30 calibers 308 diameter, and Mosins are usually 310 and all the way to 313 depending on who made it, when it was made, where it was made. So a lot of guys cast lead for them and are able to size them to exactly to their muzzle.
Is that, what did you say, 8 and 11? Is that enough to cram it through, or is that dangerous to shove it through that?
If it's a 308 diameter and you shoot a 310 bullet, I wouldn't recommend doing that. You could definitely get severe overpressure.
Okay, that's dangerous at that point.
Yeah. Now you could shoot a 308 in a 310 chamber. It's just not going to be very accurate at all. It's just kind of bounce down the barrel.
So the Gun Guy TV, is that the guy from California? What's his name?
Gun
YouTube,
Guy TV.
Guns, Gear, and the Second Amendment. I don't know what that is. On Rumble, what is going on at the gun show this weekend in Arizona? So no, I don't know what that's all about, but I'm interested. My ears are perking up.
Where do I need to roll back?
It's just Andre's last comment right there. Oh, I don't know. I'm seeing it on YouTube, so maybe there's a delay
Okay.
or something.
Is it that one?
No.
Oh, that's
Up
Hobbies.
Up one. There you go. So no, I haven't seen it. Yeah, Joel, thanks. I used to watch Joel when I would go to Gunstreamer more, but I haven't been going to Gunstreamer as much. It's just kind of glitchy and slow. So, or my computer's glitchy and slow and doesn't, fights with Gunstreamer. I'm not going to blame it on Gunstreamer. My computer's not doing, or my internet's not doing great lately.
Oh, you got internet issues.
Intermittently, I don't know if they're either, if somewhere up the stream they're working on something maybe, and they're just like, screw these people, and they just disconnected for a few hours randomly during the day, or a few times randomly during the day. But yeah, pretty consistently, around noon or whatever, click, I just got bad internet. It might come back for a minute or two, just enough to start doing something, and then click, and then you come back at like 3 o'clock and it works again. So I don't know. So I think
sounds almost like they're taking it down. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they're working on something, I don't know where I'm at in the whole scheme of things with the distribution. So if they're working on something up the pipe, then they probably don't care in the middle of the day if they knock you down, if they're only going to be off and on. But I have no idea how it works. So would you ever go look at stuff on Rumble?
Yeah. I've gone over there and looked at a couple of things, and I think AR has got a Rumble account over there.
No, that was one of the things I'm asking, or that's one of the reasons I asked, because I know you guys were kind of talking about it before, and I was wondering if you ever actually did.
I never went over and did it, but he did. He did start a Rumble account, and there's quite a few other YouTubers that cast bullets that have Rumble accounts because they let you do casting of lead bullets and bullet manufacturing and stuff like that over on Rumble, whereas they don't on YouTube.
But he didn't pay for the Rumble just because you have to pay like $10 a month or something to stream over there.
No, he did not do the streaming. From what I understand, is the streaming is a little bit to be desired because of the bandwidth is not large enough to accommodate everything that they're trying to do at the current time. And I heard that it's a little glitchy, but I'm not sure on that because I don't know that to be a fact. I have not experienced anything to do with Rumble as far as streaming.
I saw that a couple of people were using it, but I don't know. I haven't jumped. I put stuff there, but I'm not going to stream either. I'm not going to pay them.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at, I think the video is at the one from the 6th. It's got 2,000 views, but is it going to tell me how long it is? Doesn't really, it's not, I'm not used to the interface, so I'm not sure if it's
This video is made possible.
Oh, it's an hour-long video. But it doesn't really say anything in the description about a gun show. That's the part that perked my ears up, is the part about whatever he's talking about with the gun show.
Right.
But his description of the video is just like links to things and his different accounts and whatnot, so it doesn't really describe what you're...
Right. Poor description.
Well, no description, yeah. It's just the boilerplate. So Gizzard says he's watching it. But anyway, yeah, I'm wondering what's up. So...
Gizzard, keep us updated on that, sir, please.
I keep thinking today's Friday, but I'm a day ahead.
Yeah, you're a day ahead.
So yeah, I'm thinking about going live, maybe just open up some of the boxes, sorting out some of the things. My other quest or something to challenge, I guess, would be how to display an ammo collection. Like, do you have an ammo collection, or do you even bother with something like that?
I do have a bag of finished rounds, and they are just a hodgepodge of different calibers that I've either loaded, and they're all good rounds. They're just I haven't ever shied. I just pulled them out, and I'm not exactly sure why. They're not like I messed up on a bullet and went and put it over there. I just thought, they turned out good, so I grabbed one out of the batch and set it over there.
Yeah, just to have like a specimen from each
Yeah,
run or what.
yeah.
But, so then what, you just got them sitting there or whatever on a
I
shelf or
got them
something?
in a little Ziploc bag right now because I'm packing up.
Oh, well, normally though, everybody's either setting them somewhere, or what I do is I put them in the little like styrofoam or cardboard or plastic grid thing that you get in a box of ammo sometimes, right? Because then you can kind of put them in there and they don't fall apart from each other. But that's kind of boring. So I'm trying to figure out something to 3D print. Basically a little flat plate with some holes in it, so that the bullets look interesting, and then you don't have to necessarily buy a specific one for a specific round, right? So I got to come up
Right.
with some like perfect size holes or a perfect dimension of hole to kind of include the most amount of ammo or cartridge calibers, I guess, and then come up with the right height so that it's not a giant brick, and it's out of the way and it's light, but also doesn't let them fall over.
Right.
So I've been thinking about how to do that. So it's something else I've been wanting to do with the thing, so that basically you can see the bullets, because I that's half the fun of having a collection, is seeing the variety of them, or the differences or the similarities, right? And you can't see that if we've got them in pretty much anything that we have for bullet collections. It's almost always like a cigar box or something, coffee can.
Dead Horse found one for me and sent me one that is a almost like you could set it on your bench or you put it on a wall. And it's got all different, it's just like all open across the front in every level so that you can see the calibers written down on it and what they are, and you can put them in there and set them in there on the little area.
Like if it
uh,
was a poster
came
for the different calibers, except just the rack, so that you put in your own.
It was plastic, yes, hard plastic. They got it
Oh, I
from
gotta look that up.
Amazon.
Okay, I didn't
Amazon
check
had it,
that maybe.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's a way to do it. And then you just put like some kind of a back, and then build up a little ramp for the
It's
rim.
got all that it comes with it. The only thing it doesn't have is like a glass front, but you can just
You
put
wouldn't want
things.
that though
Yeah,
necessarily, because otherwise you
yeah,
wouldn't be able to fiddle with it. I
yeah,
like it, the idea of having it just open like that. So that's a good idea. Sort of like what you do for drill bits or something on the wall of a shop, right?
yeah. Very much the same thing. Yeah, that'd be a cool setup.
So anyway, that's one of the things that I'm going to try to do, is come up with some ways to display a collection. Have some fun with that.
Yeah, that would be a good setup, and start checking out your stuff. That way, you can see what you've got and what you might want to collect, what you might want to look at in collecting next,
I don't
as
know.
far as
At least for me,
calibers.
I've just kind of been a, what's the word, like target opportunities, right? Like a couple of things I've had in mind. I wouldn't mind collecting, but I'm not interested in spending a ton of money or nothing. There's only a couple of bullets that I've spent real money on, and that was just I happen to have money, or for some reason I thought it would be a good idea. But mostly it's just whatever super cheap in front of me, and you know what I mean. Like that's part of the fun for me, is to, like, it was meant to be. If I come across it and it's super cheap, because I come across tons of stuff at gun shows that if I had $1 million I could just acquire. It's easy to create a
Yeah,
collection. So anyway, I don't really have a goal except for my even my 7.62. I don't really have some destination in mind, other than to continue to find new ones or whatever. Try to have as big a variety as I possibly can. And that's one of the reasons I want to do the videos too, because I want to get some kind of find out other people that are collecting. There must be other people that are collecting out there on YouTube, because there's whole gun shows for just people that collect ammo. So if I can find some of those people, I want to trade around some boxes and things where I have multiple boxes of some old Chinese stuff for some of the stuff that I don't have any boxes of, right? And that's the kind of stuff that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be. I would love to have an old box of that Norinco ammo. We
Oh,
used
that's
to get
fun.
it in. We used to get them in the I think it was pine boxes. They were what real white wood, and they were little like maybe 4 inch by 3/8 of an inch or whatever, wooden crates, and they would come with the regular 20 round boxes, and they would have them all inside there, and then they would be wrapped in cardboard like wrapping paper, the boxes, and then put down into the crates with the lids on top. And I think it was like 1,400 rounds for like $120.
Damn, I've never seen that. I've never even heard that described, but just the way you describe it, like that went right into the garbage every time. Like no one even did, maybe a fire, but no one kept that stuff. But that's
Yeah,
cool. I've never heard of that. I always wondered how these fragile, because the paper, cardboard, it's really paper that these boxes are made out of. I go grab one,
is
or
yeah,
basically
it's very
easy as that.
tear. Yeah, it will
Yeah.
tear real easily.
So I wondered how they even got them here, because it's crazy that, yeah, they're weird. They're like toilet paper. They're crazy fragile. I mean, I know
Yeah,
they're old now, but yeah. And the things inside of them are super heavy. And it's the craziest, worst foam, or what is that, styrofoam?
styrofoam
I
that
don't
you've
know what
ever
they,
seen.
yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
what they did. It's like
it's
a weird
literally
marshmallow.
falling apart
It's like if you took a
now.
marshmallow and stepped on it and poked a bunch of 7.62 rounds into it and stuck it in a box.
It was not engineered. They were like, we could make this work really good to just do it like this. But yeah, the old Norinco ammo, that was it was steel case, but the case was brass washed. And
Got everything from I got literally everything. The only one I don't have that I've seen recently is a Monarch that is steel, like a polymer, like a steel, right? So like maybe a lacquer or something on it, but like just the
right.
color steel. And then the projectile is a steel, and that's like steel on steel. Looks super cool. I have some. I think they're rounds for a Sturmgewehr thing, because they're a
Mhm.
little bit shorter and they're different, but those have that same look. But otherwise, in the Chinese, I've got everything from like chocolate cases with like a chocolate lacquer. It's super cool. It's like opaque. Like it, I don't know if they did it for the look or if it just happened. Some green ones that are crazy. Actually, about 3 different kinds of green ones. But the one green is like the same way. Like they might be for parades or something. I have one parade round with a chrome projectile. So it was meant to be in a fancy dress type of situation. I did pay for that one, and then but that's one of the fun things about collecting. I could go grab a selection of 7.62 by 39, because they're the fun part about them is their case colors. Just think about all the different wolves and golden bears and just stuff that you've gotten at the hardware store, and how different it all is. Like they just don't even care. They just do whatever they feel like, or whatever they're told, or whatever's available, or whatever's cheap. And that's the lacquer, or that's the case material. Like if it works, if it fits in the machine, they're using it. And
Yeah, the copper wash stuff now after 35, 40 years is actually turning green
I've got
just from
some that
its
have,
age.
yeah, because it's really copper.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, if you don't touch it, it doesn't. But yeah, I do have some rounds that are corroded. I've got some those steel 45s I was talking about. I got one that's I found is all rusty and gross. So too bad. I don't know if I can bring it back or not. It'll be one of those things I got to find out, I guess.
Yeah, 7.62 is a cool round. I really I've always liked it because of the way it was designed. It's like a pizza wedge, and it's just made to go into a nasty chamber covered in dirt and whatever and come out.
Yeah,
And
totally different philosophy, right? Than a
yeah,
lot of other countries even would consider, let alone approach or let alone master.
yeah.
And you look at some of them, like I'll open up my cigar box of weird rifle rounds, and some of them, it's like, what were they thinking? It's like so delicate or so weird. Like, how could this ever feed? I guess if it's bolt action, who cares? But just the idea of like some of these things, like I don't know, you can tell engineers made them or something like that, or somebody owed somebody a favor and it got created.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah,
you're like, what were they
I'm,
thinking when you see it? You're like
I'm thinking of the Caranica. How do you say that one? The one from is it Italy? The Carancano?
Arancano.
No, the
Yeah,
Caran. The ones from Italy. I think they're Italy,
yeah.
Spain maybe. That has a weird bullet that's super long. It looks like almost like a syringe. It's so long.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's got that big gooseneck looking bullet that hangs off of it.
Yeah.
You know what else has kind of a goofy looking bullet is the 5.45. It's kind of got this really elongated bullet, but skinny.
Yeah, in the same way. Like you would think that it would be getting broke all the time, but at
Yeah.
least it's smaller, so it's got less tendency, I guess, less weight of the bullet. But yeah, same thing. You would think like they'd be at least bending or busting the cases.
It looks like GGW AR Guns 1776 and Hasbro are out there in the side chat. Hey, gentlemen, how are you guys doing? AR, I hope you're feeling better, brother, and I hope the vet is going along smoothly. But yeah, AR's in the project of his life right now, restoring his Corvette and going through and he's getting some motor work done to it, and he's got to get some parts. He's ordering all the parts that way when the guys go in and go to rebuild everything, he just rebuild it with brand new stuff. Avoid any problems down the road of resealing stuff that's been sitting on a motor for 30 years. You better just get rid of it and all like maybe put a high flow oil pump on it and a new water pump and all new lines, coolant and power steering and your uh, oil cooler for the engine, all that stuff. Replace all that stuff. That's all wear parts that are going to go bad in time from just sitting. But that's what he's been doing. He's been going through all that stuff like crazy and trying to get stuff ordered.
It's probably a hassle, but then when you're all done, like you say, you've got effectively your car brand new again, or
Yeah.
brand new running.
Yeah, as long as you don't do something stupid, you should be okay with it, As he the car's got such low mileage on it that you don't really have to do anything with the front end or the rear end. I would change, um, rubber bushings out. And since you can't get rubber anymore, go to a polyurethane bushing. And you might get a little bit of like squeakiness out of them at first, but they will settle down and they'll last a lot longer than rubber. But yeah, I guess they stopped making rubber a while ago, and very even when you order things that were supposed to be rubber, they've got a very low percentage of actual rubber in them. It's more silicone now than
Well,
anything else.
they make silicone out of petroleum probably,
Yeah,
and then rubber takes time to grow in a tree. So, although I'm sure they're still making a ton of rubber, they're just using it for the applications that only rubber works for.
right.
But I like the idea of that too. When you got somebody going in there and tearing all that apart, you end up having eyes and hands exploring all the stuff in there. So even the stuff you never touched, somebody's interfaced with it or seen it, and you got if there's any other troubles right away,
Oh yeah, yeah.
or
Keep
you
it
know that there's not troubles right away
right.
coming.
Yeah, you check it off your list. but you made sure you either put eyes on it or whatever, and at the very least resealed it with a new O-ring or a new paper gasket, whatever the engine calls for from its original spec, unless you're doing something aftermarket. I always like to run a real high-end head gasket. And I always recommend, if you're going in, you're pulling the heads off like that, he's probably going to have the heads milled, cut if need be, have them cut flat. Uh, they're aluminum heads, and I doubt if they're warped with the low mileage it's got. But if they cut them a little bit, he can raise his compression ratio, put a little thinner, high pressure aluminum or not aluminum, copper head gasket on it, and raise the thickness of it a little bit to lower the overall compression from you cutting the heads down, make the valves run quieter and cooler. Go in there and put just put new valve seats and guides in all the valves. And I think he's got a lifter that's making some noise, and they're going to go ahead and probably just change all the lifters out of there that are just would run new hydraulic lifters.
Where's a lifter at? Under it?
Yeah, look, it's what lifts the valve up and down.
Oh, that thing under it?
Yeah.
What, it gets on the
In your engine, it's a push rod.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, rods are older motors. Then they've changed over to hydraulic lifters, and the reason being is when you start revving a push rod motor to high RPMs, when you get above about 5,500 RPM, the actual valve will do what they call as float. The push rod will start to go up and down so fast that it will start to lose its velocity in either direction and float the valve, and the valve won't let out and it won't let it in, so it'll make
It's like
the engine
working
miss.
against
Yeah,
itself.
the engine will basically misfire, sometimes backfire up through the intake, and you lose power. But with a hydraulic,
Did I lose internet?
there I am. Can you hear me?
Oh, I'm so used to losing internet. I thought I lost internet. Sorry, I'm just sitting here quietly waiting for my internet to come back.
Oh, I know. I lost internet. I just started getting a swirly, the swirly of death.
Yep. Okay.
But yeah, but what I was saying was hydraulic lifters are able to keep a higher RPM and keep it going longer and stay set where they do not float, so that your valves open and close correctly, so you can run 6,000 RPM. Like if you have a VTEC motor, like the Honda Acura VTEC motors and the Honda motors that have VTEC, where they actually have um, twin cams, and they'll change over from the low RPM cam that builds low end horsepower. Once they get above a certain RPM, it switches over to a high revving cam, and you can actually hear the engine switch cam and start accelerating.
Are they
And
both in there? Wait, how does it switch cams?
It's got dual cams running at the same time. When one cam runs flat from RPM, it immediately goes over with the computer to the other cam and transverses the valve alignment over to that second cam. You can
Right.
hear it when the motor's running, it'll go whoa, and then you hear whoa, and you'll hear it down rev and up rev, and you hear that secondary cam spin up the
And that's
VTEC.
not. I would have thought that's a gear in the transmission or something. So that's happening in the.
No, that's actually in the drivetrain. If you ever hear a VTEC motor when it starts revving hard, you'll hear it change. And then on the most Acura motors, they'll spit a little bit of blue smoke because they burn just a little tiny bit of oil when it changes from cam over, and it just blows a little bit of oil drips down out of the valve guide and seat, and that's what burns just for a second. You get a little puff of blue smoke.
And then that happens automatically. It's not like you push a button to make it happen.
Yeah, no, that happens automatically when you floor it down. It automatically does that, steps into it. It'll even step down into the other cam if you're going at low enough RPM where it can down speed the intake and actually down speed the engine, and then basically it puts it on the lower cam setting, so it's like two engines in one is basically what they're trying to do. Make it so that it'll accelerate very hard with a low lift cam, that, and then once it hits a certain RPM, it shifts over to the other cam, and it's a high lift cam, so it increases the amount of movement of the valves opening and closing, so that it gets even more fuel air and is able to get rid of even more exhaust.
Hmm. Well, it
I'm afraid what they're
turned into automobiles a little bit because uh, working on the Corvette. That's our.
yeah, yeah. So Outcast, what's going on, brother Rob? Bending Ballistics, you guys are here. What are you guys up to?
I'm about to do a bit of a road trip, like I was saying. So I'm going to go out there this weekend and poke around and fill things up. And I haven't been on the road for a while. Just look at everything, go underneath. That's a nice thing about having enough clearance to just be able to go underneath there and look. Only thing I got to worry about is waiting until it's cool out to do it.
Yeah, is that what you're waiting on right now, for it to cool down a little bit so you're not dying of heat stroke when you're
Oh,
traveling?
I'm just gonna change the oil, probably, maybe. I don't even know. I have to actually calculate when I change the oil. Maybe look at it. Fill up the oil a little bit. Just fill up the fluids, take a look underneath, that kind of thing. Might be up
Yeah,
there. But anyway, no, I'm just talking about that kind of stuff. I'll probably do it in the morning because if the sun goes down, it's not like it just gets cold. At least here, it doesn't just get cold. It takes a while for all the rocks and the earth to release all that heat. So
right.
it'll be hot until 9:30 or 10, and then I'm tired, right? So
Yeah,
I'll just do it in the morning. But in the morning, it'll be nice and cold out there.
get out there, pull the oil out, and see what your fluid level's at. And it's probably going to be a little bit low because when it's cold, the oil constricts, and when you test your oil, you want your engine to be at operating temperature, which is somewhere between 3 to 7 minutes idle time, depending on the outside temperature. Let your engine build oil pressure and get warm, and then go ahead and shut it off and pull the dipstick, wipe it, and put it back in there and check it. Make sure you got the right amount of oil in there, and it's not looking, smell it. That's what I always tell people. They're like, what? I always tell them, smell that oil. If that oil smells burnt, change it. I don't care when you last changed it. I don't care if it was the day before yesterday. If it smells burnt, change it. Because
That's weird.
Yeah, oil degrades when it starts smelling burnt. It does not, like if you say you've got 2050 and you're using Valvoline, say, or Castrol, you got 2050. That oil number of its high number, the 50 weight, starts to degrade as that oil ages inside that motor. And as it gets hotter and stays hotter and cools your engine and absorbs that heat from your motor and cools those bearings inside the crankshaft and all those moving little jackets inside their motor that get that oil pumped through it, that oil's viscosity will start to break down and it will not absorb the heat as well as when it was newer, and it will not dissipate the heat as well as when it was newer. So the oil actually loses its viscosity number. So if you started with a 50 and you're into 6 months on an oil change and you've got close to 4,000 miles on it and it's semi synthetic, you probably could go a little bit more, but I would recommend changing it. If you're
Well,
using regular petroleum, because you've got an older motor that never ran a synthetic and you wanted to stay away from it, I say every 3,000 miles, get that oil changed because it's much cheaper to change an oil than
right.
change your oil than to replace a crankshaft.
Yeah, anything really. So no,
Yeah,
I use the synthetics and I use old engine ones, right? So low, high mileage ones,
right.
W30, and then, but the thing is, I mean, 4,000 miles. Come on, I get like maybe 400 miles on it in 6 months. Like I don't drive, I don't go
Right.
no, so it barely runs. If anything, I have to worry like it. I had to change the battery because it sat so long in between being driven.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but
You're
I
not
never
even
thought about
getting the
it.
oil hot enough for it to start to clean your pistons. Because an oil has a lot in a gasoline motor, not in a diesel motor, but
Right, right.
oil for a gasoline motor has detergent in it to clean your inside of your motor. Well,
So
that
I should
doesn't
be
start
taking a
to
trip to
work until
Phoenix.
about 200 degrees Fahrenheit.
So I should be taking a trip to Phoenix a month, once a month, no matter what. Just keep the engine happy.
Yeah. And
Okay.
make sure you check your oil. Make sure you're not getting any leaks anywhere around your filter, or if you got any gaskets on your pan. Your oil pan usually is the first to start leaking because it's usually what bumps anything that might be underneath the car within bumping into like curbs, parking things, and stuff like that. People sometimes bump them and they will just bump them just enough to knock them, and it seems to like they get a drip there at their
So let me
oil
ask you,
pan.
since we're talking car stuff, I appreciate it. Um, and since everybody's already listening to us talk about car stuff anyway, what do you think about on it's a 2000, is it a 2000 or 2002? Let's say it's a 2000 and I don't remember anymore what it is, but it's a 2000-ish. So it's, or no, the cop car's 2000. So it's 2002, right?
Mhm.
And it was post office first, and then they ran the heck out of it, and then now I have it, and I already changed the transmission out, right? And now I've got enough miles on the transmission that it's out of warranty again. But I was thinking about running a can of not the Sea Mist or whatever it's called, but a newer model for, the one that would be appropriate for this one to clean out all the fuel injectors and stuff. You think it's worth putting fuel treatment through there and then driving it up to Phoenix?
Yeah, you can't hurt it. And basically, the what worries you when you have gasoline sitting in your fuel tank for a long, like sometimes it sounds like you have fuel that stays in there for long periods of time, is
Oh
it
yeah.
becomes unstable.
I mean, not six
And
months, but it's definitely, it takes me, I only go through like a tank of gas a month or something.
yeah. Okay, well, if you're burning an entire tank in a month, that you're okay. But if
Okay.
you're letting stuff sit for 3, 4 months without letting it run, then I would definitely recommend you add a fuel stabilizer to your gasoline
No, I'm
fuel
thinking
tank.
I was watching some video and they were saying how foam. Thanks. Good broadcast to see sea foam, right? Like how you run that through your gas, right? I think you run
Mhm.
that through your gas, and then it, on an old car, and I guess that's for 2-cycle engines, so you don't really want to use that on all engines necessarily. So that video that I was watching was talking about how if you're going to do that, get the one that's made for your type of engine and the type of gas you're running and that kind of stuff, so that it's actually does its job. But then they were saying that if you do that, it's worth, I don't know, some amount. Like, I guess they were trying to diagnose an issue that was hard to diagnose, and then they said, we're pretty sure it's just the fuel injector, so we're going to run this gas treatment through it and see if it works. And it did. And I was just curious if you heard of that. I don't think they were just trying to sell the gas stuff or
Yeah.
just make a video for no reason. I think they were trying to say sometimes this works, but I guess I'm asking, do you think it's worth? Because I guess I'm seeing a little bit of hesitation when I drive. Like, I'm wondering if it's a little bit.
When's the last time you changed your cap and rotors and your wires on spark plugs?
Since I've been on the road, I mean, I think I might have taken one road trip with the rotors and stuff, but I took most of the road trips on this van before I had the balls to change the spark plugs. And then I finally had the balls to change the spark plugs, maybe like, I don't know anymore, maybe 2 years ago or something. And I
Oh,
figured
you're
out,
okay then.
yeah, so it's not like that long ago.
Yeah, you're okay.
So you wouldn't bother running that through there?
No, I wouldn't, but I would. But yeah, if you have a little bit of hesitation, my guess is you may have a little bit of water in your injector or you're carbureted, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or you're carbureted. Okay, you probably have a little bit of some type of dirt, probably from you being in Arizona with the amount of crap that's in your air when the wind blows and stuff like that,
Well, I'm
and that
cheap. I
you're
would
out.
never change the air filter. I just knock it out on the ground. So I guess I could pay for a new air filter.
Yeah. Gee, you live in a really dusty climate. If I was you, I would change the air filter more than I change the damn oil filter because you're going to be getting more crap coming in through your engine intake than normal people.
The way
And
you clapped and looked at the ceiling there, I'm pissed that AR doesn't have a clip button that I can steal that. That was great. Yeah, I didn't do it because I'm cheap as hell. Why would I want to change out an air filter when I can just, it still looks kind of white, I guess. Oh, you do have a clip thing here. But all right.
well, that's what gives you good gas mileage and also pollutes your oil. So you
Okay.
get nasty oil, it's probably because your air filter is giving up the ghost. If you're getting crappy gas mileage, that could be from your air filter being so dirty from pollutants being in it that when you step on the gas, it's getting the fuel, but it's not getting the air to burn the fuel, and
Oh,
that
yeah,
could
I
be
hear you.
causing you bad gas mileage as well. So if I was you, I
Yeah.
would run
Right.
the gas treatment through it and I would change the air filter. And then when you get done running the gas treatment through it, change the oil
Oh, do
and
that first.
filter.
Okay.
No, yeah, yeah, you want to run the gas treatment through it first because what it's going to do is it's going to run your engine hotter because gas treatment
Yeah. Yeah.
always has a cleaner in it, and it's going to cause your all of your jets in your carburetor to spray that cleaner and open them up if they've got any junk in there
And they say you
in your
want it hot
yeah, in the
first.
bowls where your carburetor has its floats and they float with when the fuel dumps in there, they
Do you think
float
it
and then
has
they
a
shut
carburetor?
off.
The 2002? I guess it is just a 350, right?
Yeah, it's a 350 with a carburetor on it. Yeah. Unless it's got the only thing that they started messing around with in what year?
2002. I don't. I'm just
It
thinking of.
may, it might be a throttle body fuel injected.
That's what I just don't know what those look like. I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, if it doesn't have like, okay, if it's got a carburetor, it's going to have one that bolts right onto the intake, and you're going to have your air filter is going to come around and it's going to come up on top of it, and you'll be able to see
That
it.
all happens like in front of where the doghouse is and behind where I change the oil up front. You know what I mean? I think that's all happening.
Ah,
See it. I think.
yeah.
But I don't know. I did change the distributor cap, and that would be on both, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, but you probably being a 2000, you probably have fuel injection or some kind of throttle body injection.
See, I'm an idiot and I'm cheap. So I'm always like, well, I can see, I can see white on there, but you make a good point. Like I'm used to changing my air filter when I used to go, going out in the desert or going up in the mountains or something, and you'd go down a dirt road and get it all filthy. And then I would change it because it would literally be tan, like it'd be dirty, like a cigarette filter. But I don't even know what a filter costs. It can't cost but $20 or something like that.
Right. It's about $20. And West Covina, this is a Chevy half ton, or is it 3/4 ton?
No, it's a 1 ton. It costs me too
Oh,
much
it's a
money.
1 ton. Yeah,
It's just
it's a
35.
3500.
Yeah, 1 ton from 2020 or 2002. I got it.
2002 Chevy 3500.
The post office had it first, so it had no title, which was pretty cool. And then some dude bought it, took it to Phoenix, got the title, and then I bought it off of him. So I like to
Huh.
call myself the second owner. That guy owned it for like 48 hours, less than that. And then I bought it off of him. But it's kind of pointless because it's a 1 ton, which makes the insurance too much money in Arizona. And I think it cost me like an extra $7 for the stupid license plate because it's a 1 ton. But technically, I guess it's bigger or better or something. But it's also the long wheel span or whatever it's called, the extended.
Oh yeah, you've got the extended carry capacity with the bigger back on the back of it.
Yeah, and I would
It's got
definitely
the
not.
extended.
I got it because it was available and I had the money and blah blah blah. I got it used, but for parking and stuff, and it's
Oh,
kind
it
of,
makes it,
but
and
it's
when you
just
tow it,
so hard.
it makes it hard to tow. If you have to you have to sling it. If you go to tow it, you can't tow it with just a wheel lift
No, they'll
because the
always
van is
have a wrecker.
yeah. Yeah, I'm familiar with towing those vans. I had to use the old style wheel lift where you use J hooks to go over the rear axle, and you back the twin rubber pieces, the lapping bar, and you back it the stinger up into it, and you short chain it right to the bumper of the truck, the back of the bumper of the truck, and run the rubber uh, bumper guards along it and hook the to the rear axle, and then lift up on it, and it lifts the whole truck up. But yeah, I understand what you're talking about. That makes it really hard to when you're backing up the park because you can run into flower beds, and you can run your exhaust pipe
I'm always
into
looking
all
for
kinds of stuff.
back there, right? Because of like that. And then I'm backing up the other day and I'm like picking a spot that doesn't have no fence or fire extinguisher or fire hydrant or nothing. I back up, wham! And it's a limb of a tree comes out and then up and it smacks right into the window in the back door. But luckily the tree moved and didn't destroy my window. But yeah, I almost just smashed my own window out. But I say that, and that's like, I've only knock on wood here. I'm capable. It's like, it's not that hard. I just pull through. I never back in. That's the thing. I just always pull through, and it's almost never an issue. So in the whole time I've had the van, I've had like 3 issues where I backed into something because it's so long. But mainly it's just I gotta find a parking spot that I can pull through. So you go to the back of the parking lot or whatever, and it's no big deal. People can't tell if it's a delivery van or a contractor or something. That's the best part about it.
It looks like AR is going all the way with his engine rebuild on this. The machine shop. I am for my.
Even gonna order brand new head bolts and a brand new upgrade springs, valve springs. Can't even get the tires because of the rubber shortage.
Yeah, that sucks because that car came with Goodyear Gatorback GTs and they're rated Z tires. Because I had a 25th anniversary Z28, in 92. And that car had the same tires because it had the Corvette axle package, and it had the GT Goodyear Gatorback GTs, and those tires were $250 a tire. I found that out the hard way after smoking a set on them one night. And I went into the tire shop and I'm like, hey, I need 2 new rear tires. I figured I was going to be into the whole thing about $300, $150 a tire. The guy says, hey, buddy, $570. I almost fell down out of the chair. I'm like, well, for all four, I only wanted two. And he goes, that is for two. I was like, oh my goodness. And then I figured out real quick not to burn a set of tires off of a car in one night. That could be very expensive. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you coming out and hanging out with us tonight. AR is really appreciated of you coming out and hanging out. And I'm thinking that G Webs came over and hung out with us tonight, talked a little vehicles, talked some rounds and guns, and just had an all around, just kind of little man chat. But yeah, we appreciate having you on the show, G. And do you have anything that you're doing tonight or later this week, or talk about anything that you want to plug?
I just was opening up. Sandhills has a show going, I guess. I was opening it up to see what's happening over there, and I got an ad for Rock Auto. How creepy is that? So you know that they're listening to us.
They are listening. They are listening.
I
Oh, and that's hilarious.
Never had an ad for Rock Auto ever on YouTube, and that's the ad that popped up. So they're definitely listening.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we're live. Computers.
We're live every weeknight. On Thursdays, we talk about travel or training. So I don't think I have anything on queue tonight. So we'll probably just do some sort of impromptu. We talked about training last week, so probably travel, since we've been talking about the van, and I'll be traveling up to Phoenix. Maybe we'll talk about that.
Okay.
And, but every weeknight, if anybody who's awake overnight, join us. My goal is to do like an Art Bell type of thing, right? Like stay online or stay live overnight, long format. Give people that are doing night shift something to listen to that's live. People that are up all night for whatever reason, something that's real. But working towards it. We go live for an hour or so each night right now.
Sounds good. And when you want to have that overnight thing, let me know. I'm in for that.
Right on.
And I see Kyle Lusk in the side chat, and Rob, New York Outcast. Let's see here. Big Al, thanks for stopping by, Big Al. AR Guns, always a pleasure. Hope to have you back on your show here very soon. West Covina Dodge, Pat, thanks for coming by. Everyone in the side chat, we appreciate your participation and your time and patience coming over and watching and participating with us. Me and G and AR appreciate you and respect you guys a lot. So thank you very much. And on that, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. Anything you want to say real quick, G Webs?
Thanks again. Have a great night.
All right, boys and girls, have a nice one.